This show does not constitute legal advice and is for educational purposes only. We are always available to field questions. However, until you have entered into a written agreement, your communications are not confidential and we are not acting on your behalf. Hi, I'm Sarah Holland and this is Man vs. Land. Today we have no guest, so you are stuck with just me, and we're going to talk a little bit about the current real estate market. Now, the real estate market and how we determine where we are at this point is by looking back at the history in the market. So we use a couple of benchmarks, most recent being the crash in 2008. That was precipitated by a lot of mortgages being given out to people who couldn't necessarily pay them back. And then, of course, Wall Street betting against them, they failed, and then we had the foreclosure crisis. So there are a couple of movies, if you want a little bit more information about it, like The Big Short and Too Big to Fail. Highly recommend that you look into those in order to get a better perspective as to what exactly happened, both on Wall Street and in the federal government. So we often use that as a benchmark, and we talk about the inventory levels and about the interest rates. So a couple of buzzwords that we and you hear a lot is inventory. What does inventory mean? Inventory is a simple real estate term that means how many homes are for sale on the current market. This stat shows how much supply is available in the market, and the inventory levels can rise and fall depending on certain seasonal effects. So there's usually more inventory in the market in the springtime coming out of winter, and there's a little less inventory in the spring and going in, or in the fall and going into winter. So those tend to ebb and flow, and that's what we use as one specific benchmark. So why is there low inventory? You're hearing that now, that there is low inventory. So one of the reasons, and it's kind of silly to hear this, but the reason for low inventory is fear of low inventory. So I know this doesn't make sense, but it will in just a moment. So inventory is low. It means that a seller, if they put their property on the market, then they sell it quickly, they may not be able to find another home to move into. So they're not willing to take that risk, so then they don't put their house on the market. Another reason is that some homeowners may still be underwater with the home that they purchased, say, back at the height of the market. The values of their home have not completely recovered yet, so then they're not able to sell it for what they owe on it in order to move on to a different property. So they're gonna hang tight until things get a little bit better. Some people are just holding out to make a profit, or are not ready to give up their investment property yet. It's a strategic move, no issue there. Also, new home construction has been slow. This is due to many builders maybe going out of business when the market did crash, and lenders not being willing to lend as much as they did previously for fear of getting into similar situations. So currently, as far as building goes, it is still more expensive to build a home than it is to buy an existing home. So if you built your home in years past and you're looking to sell it and move on, it's not going to gain you that same return on investment as if you built your home when it was less expensive to build. So that may not change for the near future until inventory drops completely off. There are also a couple of different demographics that are vying for the same types of property, which makes inventory go a lot faster. So you have the first-time home buyers that are looking to get into the move-in ready turnkey homes, but also the folks that are looking to downsize. So you have the first-time home buyers coming in, and then you have the folks that are looking to downsize, and they're looking for the same product. So that means that there are a lot less properties available because there are more buyers that are vying for the same product. First-time home buyers are also utilizing the government programs, which come with guidelines for the property themselves. So the amount of homes that qualify for those particular programs are limited. So first-time home buyers, if they're using, say, an FHA loan, or they're using a rural development loan, or maybe they have a VA loan, that property that they're looking at has to qualify for the government standards of those loans. And unfortunately, that means that they pretty much have to be move-in ready homes. So again, That's a big trend right now, is folks are looking to purchase homes that are move-in ready, that don't have a lot of deferred maintenance. So the aptitude for buyers, where previously they were looking for maybe foreclosures, things that they could buy and repair and flip or get a good investment, out of it, are not as prevalent right now. So there are definitely some investors that are coming in and purchasing properties, rehabbing them and selling them, but it's not as prevalent in the primary home market. So when we talk about the different types of markets, sometimes you hear a buyer's market versus a seller's market. So those terms are very elementary in nature. When we go back to learning economics in high school, that a buyer's market means that there is more inventory than there are buyers. And every seller is vying for a buyer's attention. So the interest rates are generally high, the cost of the inventory goes down, and it's the ideal situation for a buyer. So lots of homes on the market, a couple of buyers, every seller wants to give them the best deal to get their home off the market so they can move on and continue on with their life. So a seller's market means that there are more buyers than there is inventory. Every buyer is competing for the same property, and the interest rates are low and the cost of inventory is high. The ideal situation for the seller. So currently you're hearing that we're in a seller's market, which is true in some markets, and we'll get to that in just a moment. So how is low inventory good for sellers? Well, it means that there's increased competition. So all the same buyers, like I just mentioned, are looking at the similar homes. So say you have 3 homes on the market and you have 10 buyers, all 10 buyers are looking at every single home. Not all 10 buyers can get one of the 3 homes. So that results in multiple offer situations. It can also result in some very creative terms to be placed in those offers to get the seller's attention. So that puts the seller in the driver's seat, essentially. The seller is able to really pick and choose the best deal for them, which is nice. So it gives them that bargaining power and that leverage. And it also provides the opportunity for a quick sale for the seller. So a property that is move-in ready, that is what the buyer pool is looking for, hits the market, then you get a lot of activity from those buyers, resulting in possibly multiple offers, and then the seller is able to cherry pick the one that works best for them and then to move on quickly. It's a win for the seller for sure. Now for the buyers, that is a different ball game. So the buyers definitely have to be on their game in order to put their best foot forward out of the gate. Doesn't mean that you won't have the buyer that comes through and gives the low ball offer, which is another buzzword, which means lower than what the seller is willing to entertain. But that does happen. And unfortunately, sellers don't necessarily know the motivation of the buyer. And likewise, the buyer doesn't necessarily know the motivation of the seller. So those are things that you would really want to talk to your realtor about and discuss your strategy. Now, we talked a little bit about market. Your market can be a couple of different things. Your market can be your local community. It could be your local region. It could also be the type of home that you have, or specific construction. So I have worked with buyers who were looking specifically for log homes. They're not tied to any particular area except for, say, maybe New England, and not in their home community, so not in their primary residence community. So they're looking for a second home. They're looking for something that may be on the snowmobile trail. Some folks are looking for turnkey single floor living that is close to amenities. Other people are looking for commuter locations. Some look specifically for school districts. So there are a variety of different markets that you can be in. But generally, your market is local, and that's something that your real estate agent can definitely help you determine and price your home best for the market. The other thing is the real estate trends. So that is how your house positions within the market. So right now we're seeing a couple of interesting trends. We have the typical ones, which are seasonal. So you have your lake homes and then you have your ski homes. But the ones some of them are more demographic. So like I mentioned, proximity to service or commuter-friendly homes. But right now we're seeing a lot of single floor living that is a big segment of the market, and it spans all generations. So it's not just retired folks, older folks, the aging society that is looking to get on a single floor living plan. It's actually younger folks who want to plan for the future or just want a very simple living environment. Also, move-in ready homes. Homes that have less deferred maintenance, so we consider them turnkey. So you don't have to worry about maybe replacing your roof in the next 12 months or replacing a deck or upgrading appliances. Those things are all ready to go and you have some longevity there before ever having to worry about doing any of those upgrades. So that's a big thing, and especially with those buyers that are looking for or working with government mortgage loans, those buyers really are vying for move-in ready homes, and that's a requirement. It's not necessarily a preference. An interesting one is folks that are looking for the gentleman farm. So younger families, again, this is spanning generations, younger families that are looking to kind of get back to basics, looking for that sustainability, looking to be able to have some chickens or grow their vegetables and be able to provide for their family and teach their children those values. So that's really coming back, and it's kind of nice to see. But with some of the developments that are out there that have restrictions on those types of things, it can often be difficult for them to find the property that works best for them. Another one that we're seeing is tiny homes. It's absolutely sweeping the country. However, it is starting to pick up traction here. We're seeing folks who have converted buses into tiny homes. We're seeing people who are living in smaller cabins. A tiny home has a very specific size to fit in that tiny home category, but folks are definitely downsizing. I actually read an article today about the benefits of living in a smaller home. And that gives you that more sense of community. It gives you more time to spend with your family or to do the things that you love because you're maintaining it less, just because it's not on that grander scale. So those are a couple of things that definitely have our attention in the real estate market. And I hope that I was able to shed some light on some of those buzzwords for you. And again, Sarah Holland here at Man vs. Land. Please check us out on Facebook at Man vs. Land NH. And we'll talk to you soon.